Hello gamers, Yoshi here, and in today's video I will be talking about Stasis and how to deal with it in PvP. Of course, as you know, with the introduction of Stasis into the game with Beyond Light, PvP has been absolutely chaotic and a lot of players have been expressing their disdain for it. I've gotten over 10,000 defeats this season and I want to share with you guys what I've been observing, abusing, and doing in order to survive Stasis in PvP. My experience is largely from 6v6 modes such as Quick Play and Iron Banner, but that doesn't mean some of my advice can apply to 3v3 modes as well. Have it, use it. I know some people are super against using things that are downright broken or OP in PvP. However, if you want to survive Stasis, your best option is to use it. I'm sorry to say, but Bungie will not remove Stasis from PvP. You can either choose to use and abuse it or find a niche counterplay. Light-based supers still stand a chance against Stasis, but their chance is rather minor. In 6v6 modes, Stasis absolutely dominates light-based supers and their abilities. No matter what mode you play in this game, 90% of players will be using meta loadouts, or at the very least they will be using meta supers. Don't complain if you can't hang, because as stupid as Stasis is, it's staying in PvP and Bungie isn't going to remove it. Of course, they may tune and balance Stasis, but based on Bungie's track record with PvP, is very likely they will never outright remove Stasis from the game. It's here to stay, gamers. Get used to it. Stasis slows everything. Stasis not only slows you, but literally slows everything. Before Stasis, it was possible to play very aggressively in almost all your matches. Now with Stasis, while it is technically still possible to play aggressively, you will be punished far more often than not, and you will be punished even harder for making misplays and mistakes while playing. I have noticed that a lot of players are failing to realize and adapt to the fact that with Stasis, they need to slow their pace down. Stasis encourages taking duels at range. Pulses and scout rifles shine here, but even better with the range and RPM buff to 110s. 120 hand cannons absolutely dominate in the current meta. Players who play passively or defensively have really benefited from Stasis. Playing at range is ideal, but if you are up close and in people's faces, there are a few things you need to now watch out for. Glacier Grenades. Each Stasis grenade carries a different risk when playing against them. If you see an enemy glacier wall, back away from that shit as fast as you can. Two things are probably going to happen if you see a glacier wall. A hunter is going to shatter dive that wall and obliterate everything near them, or a titan is going to slide through it and obliterate everything near them. Far too often I see people sticking around enemy glacier walls only to die shortly later from a shatter ability. If you see a hunter beelining you, or a titan who's beelining you, they are probably trying to set themselves up for a shatter dive or titan slide wombo combo. For hunters, they'll more often than not be in the air when they're about to do this shatter dive wombo combo. You either need to kill them as fast as you can or take this moment to realize, hey, I'm gonna die. I need to back off from this area before I am part of a shatter dive wombo combo. Pay close attention to your radar in order to figure out if enemies are close to you or not. Those that abuse the power of the radar are rewarded the most in this meta. Don't let people sneak up on you. Use your radar. When using Glacier Grenades, Hunters and Titans can absolutely dominate their opponents, and if they're used correctly. Yes, you can just throw them down and get 1 or 2 free kills, but there is a correct way you should be using your Glacier Grenades to get you even more kills throughout your match. If you're using Hunter or Titan, I recommend using the fragment Whisper of Fissures. This increases the damage and range a Stasis Crystal Shatter does. This fragment is exactly why you keep seeing people complaining about Shatter Dive's potency, as well as the Titan Slide potency. Glacier Grenade wombo combos from Hunters or from Sliding Titans are best used when you want to kill people off capture points, kill people hiding behind corners, or kill people out of their light-based supers. That is how devastating Glacier Grenade wombo combos are. They can one-shot KO light-based supers. While you can solo kill people with wombo combos all you want, I recommend saving your grenade for these 3 things, because you will absolutely get the most out of your grenade and save your ass from dying from things like enemy supers. If you're a warlock, I wouldn't recommend using the Glacier Grenade, because as a warlock, your stasis kit does not allow you to shatter stasis crystals as effectively as hunters or titans can. you're probably better off using Dustfield or Cold Snap grenades. Dustfield Grenades. I firmly believe that if the Whisper of Fissures fragment or the Shatter Dive nerfs are devastating enough, Dustfield nades will see a rise in usage. Dustfield nades are very strong but underutilized, in my opinion, or at the very least, I believe a lot of players are not utilizing them correctly. Dustfield nades have a pulling effect when thrown down, and players who are within range of the nade will be pulled towards the center of its effect. This effect is very useful for pulling people out of cover and into your vision. I've used them to pull plenty of players out of cover when they hide to heal to finish the kill. Dustfield nades are also able to suppress abilities, and after a short period of time, if enemies don't escape the effect of the nade, they will be frozen. With this knowledge, it is possible to freeze people in their supers if you catch them off guard, and you're able to kill people who are hiding in corners. Don't just throw these nades willy-nilly. Just like with the Glacier Grenades, if you use them smartly, they can be very helpful for you for cleaning up kills or dragging out hiding players. If you are playing against Dustfield Grenades, you can jump while being sucked in. The momentum from your jump can carry you out of the grenade's effect. Yes, sometimes this momentum can downright kill you if you slam into a wall, but it's a worthy attempt to escape the effect of the Dustfield nade. And while, yes, you are slowed by the grenade, you are still given enough time to move out of the grenade's effects. So don't just sit there and accept your death. You still have a chance to escape. And like I've said before, most people don't even use the dust fields properly. So they don't use it to purposely try to pull you out of cover. They just throw it to throw it. And most often, they're not ready to get that cleanup kill. So you can just escape. I just want you guys to know that if you hide around a corner during a duel to heal, there's a possibility a Dustfield nade is going to be thrown your way. So just be wary of how close you are standing to that repeak zone, and just know that, hey, I know my enemy is using Dustfield nades. If he has his nade up and I'm standing way too close to the area I'm about to repeak and he throws his nade down, well, that nade's just going to suck me out into his vision and I'm going to get killed. So I'm going to stand a little farther away and be wary that a Dustfield nade is going to come out. Cold Snaps. Cold Snaps have seen a fall off in usage ever since their freeze time was nerfed. Honestly, if you get frozen by one of these nades, either two things are going to happen. You'll escape scot-free, or you'll get killed by someone who would have shotgunned you anyways. With Cold Snap's 1 second freeze time, they are not very useful for players playing at long range or with zero line of sight. I think they have potential for freezing players up close or within medium range now, but only Warlocks really benefit the most from using them. Warlocks have an aspect called Ice Flare, which allows them to chain freezes rapidly by defeating opponents after freezing them with a grenade. So when a Warlock kills a frozen target, this target generates technically another cold snap, and that cold snap will track to any players who are close to it. And if you keep freezing and killing these players, you can keep chaining this thing around. Of course, it has a limited range, but it is quite effective when dealing with multiple players who are clustered near each other. Other than that, with the amount of cold snaps I've seen in PvP lately, you shouldn't really have a huge problem dealing with them. If you're a Warlock, I even might as go as far to say that don't use cold snaps, just use Dustfield Grenades. They're a slightly better option to use, but if you do use cold snaps to freeze players, just do it within close to medium range of your person, and make sure you have line of sight. Otherwise, they're completely useless. Stasis melees. Warlock melees are probably the most frustrating and punishing melee to play against, especially if they are being used by a good player who knows what they are doing. Recognize which players you are playing against are playing as Stasis Warlocks and use this knowledge when taking them head on. If you aren't sliding around and are just running headfirst at them, and they happen to have their melee up, they will freeze you and instantly kill your dumbass. This is why I said playing at range is king in this meta. The Warlock melee projectile has only a 24-meter range on its freezing, and is super slow moving projectile before it explodes and does nothing. Playing them at range with any hand cannon or most rifles, or even like SMGs and some sidearms, you're able to outrange them. Unless they are able to close the gap between you and them. However, if they're able to do this, you're probably going to be shotgun anyways, and you should be punished as so for allowing them to close the gap so easily. Titan melee works pretty much the same as a shoulder charge. It will just push you with a very large force, and that pushing force will probably get you killed against a wall or something like that. Titans can also use their melee to their advantage to move around the map very quickly, especially when they're in their super. So be sure to use this tactic or to watch out for it. Hunter melee bounces off surfaces and the initial hit will slow you. If they have a second melee charge and it hits you, you will be frozen. However, the likelihood of a hunter having a second melee charge ready to freeze you is very unlikely. More often than not, you'll just get hit by one of the throwing knives. You're not going to get hit by two. Most people just like to spam them all the time. So you're not going to get frozen a lot of the time by the hunter melee. If you're tagged, honestly, just back off or be ready to fight. I find most people, when they tag you with the throwing knife, they're just going to come around the corner and shotgun you. So either have your shotgun up and be ready for them, or just be ready to back off. A good hunter will be using their melee to probe for enemies behind walls and cover. They are very effective for telling hunters exactly where their opponents are. So be wary when you're standing behind walls and cover and you're playing against a hunter who likes to spam their melee, because that shit is definitely coming towards your ass if they're near you. Stasis supers. Just run, to be honest. The Warlock super is the squishiest, so you definitely can try to challenge them head on, but other than that, you are better off running away from Stasis supers, just like you should do when facing light based supers. Titan's Behemoth has insane damage resistance, making it easy to abuse. The super allows for easy movement around the map and juking enemy players, making it a somewhat effective roaming super. Hunters typically use their super to kill people on capture points or to use as a shutdown super. If it's being used as a shutdown super, there's really no way to avoid it. Just like how people use Nova Bomb, Blade Barrage, or Thunder Crash. You're not going to avoid it, you're just going to die. Just accept this. It's just PvP, it's just Destiny 2 PvP. While Warlock is the squishiest, be wary of their projectiles. Their super's projectiles track and splash and can seemingly freeze you around walls or surfaces. Don't become complacent when facing an enemy using their Warlock Stasis super, especially when they have the Ice Flare aspect, allowing them to chain freezes between players rapidly, even if you did not get hit by their super projectiles. Overall survival. With this new meta, playing slow and at range is what'll keep you alive. I definitely recommend using 120 hand cannons or pulse rifles. Don't be embarrassed if you need to run or hide in this meta. Doing so will keep you alive. I cannot stress more of how important it is to play with and around your teammates. Playing solo in the chaoticness of 6v6 stasis will more often than not get you killed and leave you frustrated. Of course, don't be hugging your teammates, but just be close enough to use and abuse your teammates. I know this sounds kind of dark, but it's what's going to help you get the most kills and stay alive the longest. In addition to this team play, it pays to recognize enemy player loadouts, recognizing what class and subclasses they are playing, as well as the guns they are using. If they are using a pulse or a scout rifle, and you're using a shotgun and a 140 hand cannon, you need to figure out how to outplay them and close the gap between you and them so that you can better use your loadout to kill them. Recognize that they will be distancing themselves from you, and you will need to figure out how to bait them to come closer or play around their tactics. Stasis has caused many players to become more cautious in their style of play. No longer will you see as many players running headfirst into fights using their shotgun as their primary weapon. Players who effectively utilize their radar and the map surroundings dominate and survive the longest in this meta. You need to be smarter in how you take your duels and how you deal with enemy players. While yes, Stasis is a brain dead, easy to use subclass, it still requires smart thinking and brains to play against. Use your knowledge of the players you are playing against, the map you are playing on, and where your team is in order to effectively stay alive longer and get more kills. Smart players thrive and obliterate enemy teams in this meta. In conclusion, whether we like it or not, Stasis is here to stay, so either learn and adapt to it or just roll over and die. I'm not a big fan of Stasis in PvP either, but Destiny 2 just has a gunplay charm that keeps me coming back. So this is how I've adapted and learned from what Stasis can do and offer for me so far in PvP. I do believe Whisper of Fissures needs a nerf and freeze time should be 1 second across the board, but until these nerfs come, this is a crucible we have to deal with. I hope this video has helped those who watch it deal with stasis better in PvP. So consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel if so. See you guys in the next video.